poppin' gamers? Fun frog fact! I've never felt the touch of a woman. It's not for lack of trying, it's only when I keep getting pepper sprayed. There's clearly something here I'm not understanding. And to find it, I must study the woman. Thankfully, our topmost scholars have already done just that. The dating sim. But of many a joke in the gaming community, exactly what they sound like. A talking to people simulator for those who don't. More than that though, they're a valuable resource for learning the art of romance. With there being a game for any situation you could imagine, if you ever find yourself in love with a bird, you're covered. I believe that by studying the weird and diverse world of dating sims, I can finally pull, as the kids say. Like any good study, I need my control game. So I hopped on Steam and quickly found First Snow. It stuck out to me because of its unique storytelling and art direction. It's free. It's free and I f***ing love free. It's a prequel to the Not As Free twofold about how the characters Allison and Eileen started dating. I also found another, completely unrelated dating sim on Steam named First Snow that released 2 years after the first. And I can't play it. Not because it's $13, but because it's only Korean. Don't worry, I already started the petition. You play as Allison, a freshman in college who forms an art club. It's a cute enough little story about what it's like to move away from your family for the first time. Going from always having people around to being alone in a new city and having to build your own family from there. It can be fairly boring at points though. The main conflict obviously comes from the romance, with Allison feeling like Eileen won't let her into her life. But that stays mostly dormant until the end when she snaps. It just feels like hours of nothing leading up to 30 minutes of a plot actually progressing. But I've never been in a lesbian relationship, so maybe that's just how they are. It also takes the visual novel title very literally. Most of them have a few choices you can make that change scenes or lead to different endings. Here, not a one. You are reading a novel with visuals. I know it's a prequel, so it has to reach a certain point that sets up twofold. But does it really? You can have multiple endings in one canon ending, or just have some dialogue that changes here and there. I can't really complain too much though. Like I said, free. And it only took me like 3 hours to beat. So if you have time to kill and don't want to watch 4.5 episodes of House, I got the game for you. That was just our appetizer though. The amoosh boosh of dating sims. Moving on to something with a little more meat on its bones, we have Kadowa Shoujo. It begins with an introduction to our main character Hisao. He has a chronic condition called gets no bitches. It's so bad that the second a girl confesses to him, his heart f***ing explodes. Gets no bitches is just a medical term for heart arrhythmia. If he overexerts himself, gets hit in the chest, or any other number of things happen to affect his heart, he could have a heart attack and kick it. Because of this, he gets moved to Yamaku Academy, a Japanese high school for disabled students. There he meets our 5 lovely ladies, all with various disabilities. Now, I just want to say, even though I said we're talking about weird dating sims, I'm not talking about Kadowa Shoujo because it's about dating disabled people. Those with disabilities deserve to find love and affection just like anyone else, and there's nothing weird about that. It's weird because it was made by 4chan, and it's even weirder because it's good. The story begins in the year 2000 with the author writer and his work Shupen Harnish, another Cavalier of the Wind doujinshi. If you don't know what doujinshi are, they're basically fan fiction, usually featuring Humana Humana Ruga. In it, he included 4 completely unrelated concept arts. One was girls in medieval armor, one was cyborg girls, one was girls working on a tank, and most importantly, concept art for a dating sim called Kadowa Shoujo. Art he would never act on. Instead, over 6 years later, someone translated that page, colored it, and posted it to the 4chan anime board, where it blew the fuck up, with people convinced they could make it a real game. Originally the plan was for it to be a community effort anyone could contribute to. After a few months though, it became clear this wouldn't work out. So instead a crack team formed 4 Release Studios, consisting of the best writers and game devs 4chan had to offer who had never made a game or written anything before. Despite this, they reached out to write about making his game, and after a hearty, sure why not, development could commence. What followed was 5 years of development hell. As they realized they had no artist, got artists left, writers took long hiatuses, they realized they had no background artist, switched from art to photos with a filter, realized the script sucked and rewrote it, then rewrote it again, and again, one more time, and the final wet for good measure. Yeah, in the end, it didn't just hobble over the finish line, but came out sprinting. And against all odds, this team with no experience extracted a full 30+ hour visual novel with multiple storylines and endings from the bowels of the internet. And like I said, it was really good. Unlike you'd expect, it plays the concept completely straight. It doesn't make fun of the disabled, it doesn't fetishize them. It completely respects the subject matter it's tackling. What I found most impressive was how it doesn't boil characters down to just their disability. Shizune's story isn't just about her being deaf, it's about her struggle to get along with people because of her control issues. While her disability plays a role in shaping who she is, it doesn't define her. This applies to all the girls, with it rubbing off on Hisao as he goes from resenting having to live with a disability to accepting it, and knowing that while it sucks, he has to keep moving forward in life. Something I can relate to. While I don't have a physical disability, I do have OCD. Does it suck? Yes, but I still have other shit to deal with. Last week I found out about taxes. I'm not paying them. So far I've played 3 of the routes, Shizune, Hanako, and Lily, and I'll probably go back for the rest when I have the time. Of the 3, my favorite one's probably Hanako. Like most of the routes, it starts out pretty slow, but that gives it time for you to get attached to her so the game can rip your heart out and stomp on it. Best girl though, I gotta give to Shizune. While she has the worst story of the ones I've played, I just like her. Every time we're introduced to a new character, she has beef with them, which I can respect, she's a real hater. Even most of the fandom thinks she's worst girl, which just makes me like her more. They don't see what I do. I found out something interesting about the game late into my playthrough though. Did you know it's porn? Okay, so the game's on itch.io and Steam, and I played the Steam version. Because of the platform's policy on adult content though, all the game's sex scenes were replaced with throbbing images of men and a shrimp. That one's kinda rude, but not the point. The point is, because of this, I didn't even know they were there until I saw a random video calling Katawa Shoujo a hentai game, and thought, stop being weird, this isn't a hentai, it's just a normal dating sim. Right? Wrong. This is honestly the best recommendation I can give though. I played porn for 20 hours without knowing it was porn, and I liked it. After such an amazing game, I was questioning everything I thought I knew about dating sims. How could something so amazing end up the community's laughingstock? Oh yeah. Evangelion Girlfriend of Steel 2. We're skipping one because it doesn't have Kororo, so I don't have a shit to give. I've talked about it before when discussing licensed games, with it being based on the critically acclaimed anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. I was so young back then, and so much has changed. But not my taste, I still think Evangelion's mid. I only like the franchise for the end of Evangelion movie and Kororo, with a suave enough guy for me to care about him. This game though is just so boring. Like the anime, it takes place in an alternate timeline where the main character's parents aren't corpses and they live a normal high school life, but that just means nothing really happens. There is one fight with the angels, but that wasn't interesting either. The game tries to have an extra element of gameplay over other visual novels by letting you choose different locations to go to, but there's only ever 1 or 2 correct spots at a time, so this is nothing but let you spend 90% of the game aimlessly gallivanting around the city. At the very least, it gives you more Kororo content. I'm a sucker for yaoi, so that's always a plus. And they can't even get that right! I picked literally every option to romance him, but then the game completely railroaded me into ending up with Rei anyways. This is bullshit! Homophobic bullshit! Yes, I started the petition. I say this as the perfect example of why dating sims are a laughingstock, because there's really no reason to play it. Katawa Shoujo has a compelling story, but Girlfriend of Steel is just Evangelion characters doing stuff. There's no real conflict or any kind of throughline in the plot, it's just, go here, thing happens, go here, another thing happens, go here, game's over. You're not gonna get anything out of this unless you're either a massive Evangelion fan, or the one most people will assume you want to date the characters. And if you want to date these characters, I think you're a pedophile. I'm not joking. If for whatever reason you play this game, get the ending where Shinji and his dad become lumberjacks and turn it off and never look back. When trying to find if there was any way to complete the Kororo route though, I ended up watching some walkthroughs and one thing led to another, now I'm attracted to YouTubers. I know, I might as well start dating at San Quentin. But this is also where Asagao Academy comes in, a dating sim about the YouTuber group Normal Boots. This features only the most wholesome, uncontroversial YouTubers out there, like JonTron, Gerard the Completionist, and Pro Jared. I think I'm gonna go with him. He acts like a womanizing playboy, but I know beneath that, he has a heart of gold. Outside of YouTubers, our main character is Hana Mizuno, a transfer student at Asagao Academy, as she befriends the coolest kids in school, the Normal Boots Club, respected by everyone for their gaming ability. From there, they prepare for a massive gaming tournament, while you prepare on which one to woo. Asagao has no official relation to the Normal Boots group, but the members did provide their voices. It was also made in part by Danielle Handgrave, wife of Austin Peanut Butter Gamer Handgrave, so at the very least, someone on the team had experience. As a game, it's fine enough, but like Girlfriend of Steel, if you're not already a fan of what it's based on, you don't really have a reason to play it. It has pretty generic writing that feels tailored for die-hard Normal Boots fans who just want to see them in a game, which I'm not. If someone makes a Scott the Wars dating sim though, let me know. The dialogue options you pick throughout the game affect your tournament points, which will decide if you get a good or bad ending after the aforementioned gaming tournament. But in terms of routes, only one choice actually matters, with your roommate just flat out asking which of the Normal Boots club you're gonna take to the school festival. But she also liked Jared, so now I just feel like a homewrecker. I think that also made me realize even more why dating sims have a reputation for being cringe. I've become immune to anime bullshit over the years, but instead of cute anime girls, it's Satchback going, what? Yeah, I get why some people don't want to touch Katawa Shoujo with a 10-foot pole. That's the sound of me running out of ideas. So I've decided to turn to the masses. They've never been wrong before. According to IMDb, the most popular dating sim is Summertime Saga. It's about this guy whose dad died under mysterious circumstances, so he has to get to the bottom of things. Why is it more popular than every other dating sim though? It's pornography. Boring pornography. You see, with Katawa Shoujo, by the time you get to the sex, I'm emotionally attached to the characters, so it feels rewarding. But here it just jumps right to it. Maybe that makes it easy to do the whole Crank Crank Supreme thing, but any actual satisfaction is lost. These aren't characters, these are just a checklist of porn. Also, actually I'm gonna get just enough for talking about this. I'm gonna stop before I get disowned. Why does IMDb even have a dating sim page? There's a movie guy, what's their stake in this? Doesn't matter, because if you scroll down for a bit, you'll find what I believe is the actual most popular dating sim. Doki Doki Literature Club. Fun fact, this is actually the original game that got turned into Mario 2. Doki Doki went mega viral when it first released. Even now, I kind of feel like I have to talk about it because people would notice if I didn't. You know the story though. It starts out as a regular dating sim with you joining the high school literature club and writing poems to romance the different girls, before it slowly starts glitching out and breaking the fourth wall, turning into a psychological horror game. It definitely deserves its status being a really interesting game that plays with the idea of being a video game itself. I especially think what happened at the end is a really interesting way to leave a game. Even just knowing it's left sitting there like that on my hard drive is kinda chilling. It just sucks that being the most popular only makes this game worse. Doki Doki Literature Club is better the less you know going into it. It will be best if you think it's just a regular ass dating sim and could be genuinely shocked when shit hits the fan. But to be playing it in the first place, you're either a fan of dating sims and have definitely heard of the most popular one, or you don't play dating sims and think they're cringe, in which case, you're probably not going to be playing one, unless you know it's not a regular dating sim. What sucks most is that a lot of the specific moments have been memed to death, to the point they've lost all shock value. Everyone knows about Monica, everyone knows about gently opening the door. Hell, by the time I got to it, there was only one thing that truly shocked me, because it was one of the few things I hadn't seen before. Even with all that though, I'd still say it's worth playing. Most of the big moments are done well enough that they're worth experiencing for yourself. And if somehow you haven't heard of it before, I kept saying as I could. Go play it, it's free on Steam, you're welcome. Something I don't hear enough people praise Doki Doki for though, is just how good the characters are. Everyone's so focused on all the fucked up shit happening to them, that they don't notice how even without any of that, they would work just as well in a regular dating sim. The developer Dan Salvato seemingly knew this too, with Doki Doki Literature Club Plus adding the side stories, a secondary campaign that is just pure visual novel without any of the fourth wall breaking horror aspects. And just like how caring about the characters in Katawa Shoujo makes Super Buster Moving better, genuinely liking Sayori made everything that happened to her so much more impactful. On the topic of dating sims that push the boundaries of what it means to be a video game, we have the reason I found out. Tax Heaven 3000, a dating sim that does your taxes. You go on dates with Iris and slowly tell her more about yourself, like your name, birthday, social security number, typical first date stuff, I'd assume. She writes all this in her journal, and once you're done, that becomes the full tax return for a single filer with no dependents living in 2022. So if that's you, make sure to send this the IRS's way. I'd say it's a pretty boring game, but it isn't a game, it's a tool to not get audited. It was created by Mischief, who are known for making weird experimental products, like the Big Red Boot or 1,000 keys that open one call everyone had to share. So this isn't exactly out of the ordinary for them. They even released it for free, apparently because they just really f***ing hate the tax filing company TurboTax. And you should too. For any Americans out there who don't know, in most countries, you don't have to calculate your own taxes. I live in Canada, and they just send me the amount I owe, so I know exactly how much to not pay. But TurboTax lobbies to prevent America from putting a system like this in place, so they can keep the cash flowing in. Since the 2022 tax season though, there hasn't been much keeping Tax Haven relevant. The most buzz it got came when it was delisted from Steam. People theorized about why it was deleted. Was it a virus mining Bitcoin? Is this all part of some AOG? The itch.io page does have this ominous line. No, Steam just doesn't want you giving the anime girl your social security number. I'd be inclined to agree, but honestly I'd give Hatsune Miku my soul if she asked nicely. But what if you wanted all the nothing of Tax Haven's gameplay with none of the useful tax doing? Well, then you'd get all of I Love You Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating sim. Also known as the KFC dating sim. It's about a girl studying culinary school and quickly falling for the hunky Colonel Sanders. Because of its wacky premise, every unfunny content creator imaginable jumped on it. Including me in my Twitch streamer phase. Like everyone else, I have low points. I found it fun enough at the time, but going back to it, I just don't like this game at all. It's clearly not meant to be taken seriously, it only works when the game's actually funny, but it's just so up its own ass with its humor. It's clearly trying to be random XD funny to appeal to the internet, but it doesn't actually do anything with this concept. The joke is just random. Look, the Professor the Corgi, pawed for applause. It came out in 2019 too. The random fate of the internet died in 2012 for non-insufferable people. The only way I could see this being enjoyable is ironically as a fun bad game. If you're playing in a Discord call with friends or a Twitch stream, yeah, it might be fun to point out how stupid it is. But if you're trying to play it on its own as a game, why, that's an hour and a half of your life you're never getting back. Watch 2 episodes of House MD instead. The best way to explain why I don't like it is to show a game that does literally everything KFC is trying to do, but better. Hadafour Boyfriend. This is another comedic dating sim that uses absurdist human birds, most of which aren't fried though. You play as the sole human girl attending St. Pigeon Nations, a school for hyper-intelligent birds. From there, you pick the avian of your dreams. Before anything else, I have to say, I'm just so glad this game uses real birds to the spuds. I love cute anime girls more than the next guy, but after staring at them for the past 30 hours, I'm happy to see something that exists in the natural world. Back on topic, the reason this absurdism is funny and KFC isn't, is because this isn't random absurdism. Everything in Hadafowl has a rhythm. If I Love You Colonel Sanders had a character that's a bird, the whole joke would be, look, a talking bird, that's funny. But in Hadafowl, the game's written around the fact they're birds. It's a tool to set up other more intelligent jokes, and they're even able to use it in non-comedic ways. I Love You Colonel Sanders doesn't attempt any kind of real emotional pull. Hadafowl though will have you ready to unironically cry for these f***ass birds. And that is ironically really funny. The most direct comparison I can make is both games have a gag where they step outside the dating sim genre and do an RPG battle. In I Love You Colonel Sanders, a sentient chicken nugget runs up, you fight it, and then it runs away. In Hadafowl Boyfriend though, it comes at the end of one of the routes. You spend most of the run with this edgy bird Angel who talks about being a fallen angel with an avatar of destruction sealed inside his crimson breast, trying to stop the Skull Doctor from bringing about the Tree of Blight. You're meant to think he's crazy, until it's revealed he was right. The Doctor was trying to create the Tree of Blight to draw out the power sealed inside Angel's crimson breast, and now you have to do an RPG battle to stop him. This is also the first time your stats come into play. Throughout the game, you choose which classes to attend, and depending on the class, it raises one of your stats. It's a completely superfluous mechanic in most runs, with the only thing of note being your vitality is inexplicably way higher than the other stats. That isn't until you get to this point and learn it's so high because it's your HP, and if you didn't attend enough gym classes to raise it, you can fail and game over. The most important difference though, is that Hadafowl isn't ashamed of its genre. It knows it's a visual novel and respects that. Because it does, it's able to get weird in interesting ways. I Love You Colonel Sanders though, feels like every joke was made by the marketing team. Some board of directors who don't know anything about dating sims other than the cringy genre people like to make fun of on the internet. They think making one alone is the funniest thing ever. It's an absurdist game made by the most boring people possible. Hell, like Tax Haven, it's not even really a game, it's a marketing ploy. An elaborate, good-looking marketing ploy, but a marketing ploy nonetheless. It's to the point I almost feel bad comparing Hadafowl to it. Which is why I'm completely dropping the comparison while I talk about what's probably the best aspect of this game. Hadafowl Boyfriend is a game absolutely best experienced blind for this reason. But every game's best experience blind. I already pulled out code for Doki Doki. If I keep doing it, I have nothing to talk about. I'll avoid major spoilers, but just skip ahead if you really care. If not, this is on you, you did it to yourself. After completing 8 endings with the different birds, when you start the game you'll get the option to fulfill the promise. And if you pick it, partway through the game completely drops being a dating sim to do a genre 180 into a mystery thriller. It's revealed that every piece of absurdist humor throughout the game actually had a completely logical explanation. As you unravel a story of murder, biological warfare, discrimination, genocide, all logically built off the funny bird game. Even Angel's powers have an explanation. He actually is crazy, but he has a genetic mutation that causes him to emit hallucinogenic spores that draw other people into his delusions, altering space and making the world temporarily operate on RPG logic. This game is a surreal experience. It feels like a full symphony of Chekhov's guns firing as everything you brushed off as random nonsense comes together to form a cohesive ending. It's also just one of the ballsiest moves I've ever seen a game pull. Hiding a great game, half a dozen hours into a good game. Most players will never even know about this side of Hadowflower. On Steam, only 15% of players have the achievement for reaching this route's ending. But those 15% completely understand me when I say, you will cry over these fuck-ass birds. It shows what devs are capable of when they're able to spread their wings with a concept instead of being constantly irony poisoned. This game was made by Mediatonic. While they're popular now for making Fall Guys, back in 2011 when Hadowflower released, they were just some small indie studio, which gives them the freedom to pull off what any big studio or fast food chain that thinks purely of profits would never allow. Because yeah, marketing wise, completely hiding the best part of your game is a stupid decision. But looking at games as art, it's genius. After looking at all these games that push what it means to be a dating sim, I realized something. I never actually said what that is. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory. It's a game, usually a visual novel, where the focus is dating. Then I looked at teams that play dating sims and saw Stardew Valley and Banana, so let's clarify for the class. Stardew Valley is not a dating sim, it's a farming game. Just because you can date doesn't make it a dating sim. In a dating sim like Kata or Shoujo, depending on which route you choose, you might as well be playing a different game, because the story is completely different. But in Stardew Valley, number one plot priority remains the fields. Also, just because something's a visual novel doesn't mean it's a dating sim. Sure, Steins Gate's a visual novel where you date, but that doesn't make it a dating sim. It's a science fiction story with romance subplots. Also, Banana is a game where you click a banana and nothing else. Not a dating sim. At least with that attitude, anything's a dating sim if you try hard enough. My favorite not a dating sim is Persona 5. It's a game famous for being split down the middle between the real and cognitive worlds. The cognitive world's your standard JRPG affair, fighting enemies, taking down bosses, exploring dungeons, yada yada. Then, back in the real world there's a life simulator, with players getting a limited number of in-game days they can fill by exercising, spending time with others, and most importantly, laying down the charm. Improving your bond with a character increases their confidant, and at rank 9 you get the option to ask out female characters or feel disappointment if you're an Akechi fan. Once you're dating, you get alternate scenes from acting out their bond, and dates on Christmas Eve, Valentine's, and White Day. That's it though, who you're dating has no real importance. In Persona 3 you could only max out your bond with a female character by dating them. That changed in the later games and even Persona 3 Reload. This makes it so the smartest way to play the game is ditching your girlfriend to go get massages from your teacher. Leveling up a confidant unlocks abilities that can be used in the cognitive world, so if you've already maxed out a character, spending time with them does nothing but waste a time slot that could be better used elsewhere. While logically this makes no sense, it's also probably the best way it could be done. Because Persona is not a dating sim, it's an RPG. Once the game starts adding benefits to dating a character, there will be a correct girl, one who provides a better ability than the others. Instead though, you can just pick whoever you like the best. Makoto's buffs suck, but I romanced her because my heart said to. Another organ made a strong case for Takemi. The Persona 3 method of romance also has another problem. It encourages infidelity. If you can only max out a girl by dating them, date them all! This is called the harem route, and every modern Persona game has one. While I think anyone who cheats on Makoto should be flayed and dragged through town, I'm not against the option in principle. Persona is a series about making choices, and you should be allowed to make bad ones if you want. Same goes for some of the more questionable options like dating your teacher or your doctor, or in Persona 3 Portable where you can date a 10-year-old. Okay, cut that one actually. I do think there should be some repercussion for bad choices though. In Persona 3 Fez, if you date multiple girls, your confidants can reverse a stage or even straight up break, preventing you from fusing Persona without Arcana. You then have to go and make amends with that character to level it up again. I get that some players don't like having restrictions like this placed on them, but I think it's perfectly reasonable considering Persona themes. Confidants are all about how in order to grow in life, you have to build connections with others. So if you make choices that will hurt those connections, the game should reflect it by having the player feel that pain. Letting them get away with it does nothing but serve a power fantasy. Inherently, there's nothing wrong with that. Most of Persona 5 is a power fantasy about rebelling against the system. But if a game's gonna try and have a moral, I feel it should stick with that, even when it hinders a certain playstyle. The game being an RPG also means it can skip all the boring getting to care about them stuff, because by the time you can romance a character, they've already been naturally introduced to the story. And in the case of party members like Makoto, by the time you can romance her, you've already spent like 20, 30, maybe even 60 plus hours exploring dungeons with her. So all that romance can be packed into 9 quick confidant scenes, and that rank 10 scene can be a more hype moment than beating the final boss. Until the screen fades to black. Dating in Persona is just too easy though. I like me a real challenge. Ever tried dating in Minecraft? Sure, you can go villager and start the looting, but if you want to go pro, check out the Minecraft Come to Life mod. This mod updates villagers, giving them more roles and ways you can interact with them that I don't care about because you can procreate. I found this mod during my aforementioned streamer phase. Because I like a challenge, this wasn't enough. I invented the world's first Minecraft sex speedrun. First you have to marry the villager. We're not heathens, God's watching. For this you need to raise their affection and then propose. Give them a bunch of gold to raise their affection, mine 8 gold to rose gold for the ring, then gift it, click the button, and ta-da! World record 11 minutes and 44 seconds. What if this PG stuff's not enough for you though? Well then it's time for the Jenny mod. Because if you give Jenny a gift, you can raw, uncensored, do it in Minecraft. Wait a minute. I hate sex. We are still thinking too small. Why am I messing around with mods when there are real virtual women to talk to? Any game with an internet connection can be my own personal whiz ground. We've all seen those couples that met on Minecraft, or Fortnite, or RuneScape. Aren't they all so cute? Don't you just want to put them all on a bus and drive that bus off a cliff? One look at my charm and I'll be swimming in social interaction. Hey girl.
Wealth, fame, power. Go!
I don't know what went wrong, but I do know I'm ready to try another game. Roblox! I haven't even played Roblox yet. I'm here because I'm getting executed by the cartels. That could have been bad. Thank God for the petition. I kinda lost the plot there for a second. But then again, hasn't this whole genre? I keep talking about games that push what it means to be a dating sim, but when else do you hear someone talk about them? I don't mean me, I know all about this weave shit. I mean you, average person. I feel like they only ever get brought up as the joke genre. When KFC makes a dating sim, it's funny because it's the weird genre for weird people, but then no one ever actually tries to play a regular one, even though they're only like 1% weirder than the average game. Dating sims are the most extreme example, but it doesn't just stop there. Sure, video games are more popular than ever, but if you really look at what people are playing, there is such a narrow set of acceptable games. About now you're saying, that's ridiculous, I love all kinds of games and I've never felt judged. Yeah, that's because we live in our online little algorithm bubbles with people like us. I mean the average person. Go up to your coworker and start talking about Xenoblade. Hell, try Final Fantasy and it's probably too weird. It's just odd how most people in the gaming community seem to know this, and then we picked a smaller subset to do it to. I understand why people think they're weird. I thought they were weird. But you just have to look past this perception that they're for lonely people who can't date in real life. Sure, I don't disprove that, but we've moved past the point where people believe playing an FPS means you want to go people hunting. Why can't we do the same for dating sims? You can play one simply as a way to experience a romance story. I know they're never gonna be for everyone. Most people want to play video games. But if you can instead look at it as not playing a game but reading a visual novel, a book you click sometimes, you'll enjoy yourself more. And if you still judge them and refuse to even try one, what are you, just afraid you'll have fun? And you know what, it goes both ways. If you only play dating sims, you are weird. You should also step outside your comfort zone. Because if all you're playing are games like Girlfriend of Steel or First Snow, you're consuming a lot of mediocre entertainment when you could spend your time on something better. But you're also not hurting anyone. So if that's what you want to do, I don't really care. I'm also not saying I'm against subverting the genre. Doki Doki and Hatterfall are both great games. But that's because they can respect the fact they're dating sims. They understand the potential the genre has for storytelling, and are just using it in a different way. But when I look up top 10 dating sims and see I Love You Colonel Sanders, it's like, I haven't even played 10 dating sims and I know that's wrong. Especially when, if you ask me, out of all the dating sims I've played so far, which one's the best? The game I'll look back on in 5 years and say, wow, that's how you make a video game. It's Kadoa Shoujo, a game that is unapologetically a regular dating sim. After all that, there's only one thing left to do. I need to get out there and talk to a woman. I technically got sent